Checkity check, 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 check. All right. I guess it's time we do this thing, huh? So, thank you guys for tuning in. I had so many things that I wanted to say right at the beginning of this, and they're gone. Every single one of them. So first and foremost, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the video that actually uploaded today, I don't typically upload videos the same day as I do a live stream, but I was just so excited to put this one out. So if you haven't had the chance yet to check out the project that I did for the Megalovania video, by far the most hours in 1 week that I put into an Unreal Engine project. Go check that out. Not right now because you're watching the stream. But afterwards, go check that out. It's I think it's really cool. You know, I know that I would say that because, you know, it's my video, but anyway, we are here to check out some reviews for the I Challenge You to Sound Design This Clip number 8. And oh my goodness, I know I say this every time, but these are so good. I actually got more entries for this challenge than I have for any other challenge, so I'm really excited for that. There was something else that I wanted to say. I just had a huge brain fart. And also, people in the chat, what's up? Audio Dread, Chris, Fidworks. Audio Dread, I did get your message on Discord, and it's like this long, so I will message you back after this stream. Coming up this year, there's something that I want to try doing, and I don't know how it's going to work out. It's something that I want to try to kind of, you guys sit here and watch me every single week, and I know you guys participate in these challenges, and I wanted to try and find a way to do more live streams. So it's all still in the planning stages. God, I feel like I'm rambling. It's all still in the planning stages, but I do eventually want to start doing live podcast style interviews. I don't know if that's the right word for what I'm picturing in my head. Where I jump on like a Zoom call or a Discord call with another sound designer, and we basically just shop talk for a little while. And but I want to do it kind of in a live session. That way you guys get the chance to tune in and ask questions and be a part of the conversation. And I don't know exactly how it's gonna go. Like I said, it's still all in the planning stages. If you are interested in being a part of that, shoot me a message on Discord. And you know, maybe we can kind of figure something out. I know I've already talked to a couple people, just kind of tossing some feelers out there, but anyway, that is kind of the plan for moving into this year, to kind of bring you guys some additional content, as well as give you, I guess, for lack of a better term, like an insider perspective from other people than just me. Because, you know, I'm not the end all be all know all guru of sound design. I have a severe passion for it, and I love doing it, and I love that you guys come and hang out. So that being said, we've got some entries for the sound design challenge. There were a couple that came in after the deadline, and you know, if I had like 1,000 entries, you know, that would be an issue. But you know, my camera is glitching. I know it's glitching, and it's because of this stupid cable. I've got this Logitech Brio, and it comes with a USB Type-C to USB 3.0. But the cable, the camera is phenomenal. The cable is garbage, and that's why you keep seeing that glitch. Anyway. I know there was a couple entries that came in after the deadline, but because there was only a handful of them, I'm going to try and get through all of them. If you've got your entry in before the deadline, I'm absolutely going to get to your video. I'm going to try and get to the others. That I've got 8 in total. And so 8 videos, a little over 2 minutes a piece plus review time. We're looking at about 45 minutes of review. And we're already like 5 minutes into this live review. So with that being said, let's just jump into these here. And I want to make sure I got all my OBS settings correctly, so you guys are going to be able to hear this. Nope. Un momento, por favor. Just going to... There we go. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So, doop. Oh. Oh, that's because... Boop. There we go. All right. So, you know what? I think we're going to be able to get through all of them. So I'm just going to, they're in alphabetical order in my folder here. So let's just start with, stop, Aftertouch. So in the same fashion that I do all these reviews, we're going to play through them once, and then we're going to go back and kind of, I'll dissect it. And I have listened to all of these. There's kind of an overall theme that it seems like everybody kind of fell into, with little nuances that were different. So we'll jump in, we'll talk about it, and go from there. So I'm going to kill my video here, and I'm going to kill my microphone so you guys don't get any background noise, and you just get the video. My dude. Wow. Um, I'm sorry. I'm a little speechless right now. So, uh, Chris nailed it. The music through it was so good. I know that you work a lot in music, so that piano piece was phenomenal. Um, it was the perfect atmosphere. It was wow. Um, why did you close on me? Okay, there we go. So let's break this down. Obviously, music is just great. Let's pull desktop audio down a little bit. Picture perfect on the door. Train ambience, phenomenal. Um, I love that you included the train motion. Like, even though what I wanted to do when I created this was to kind of have have some stuff um like flying by the windows, but it was a pain to try and do that. So I love that you included that train movement um in in this scene, so that it really just tied it all in. Got some train conductor here. Sounds like a train door. Dynamic range between the train and this kind of like sci-fi lab area, comes down a lot. It's perfect. Um, because you're in like this building, so there isn't that movement that we have from the train. Um, the little generator that I have over here, I do hear it. Um, Probably could have bumped it up just a little bit. I would have also brought that door up just a hair, but sound quality wise, it was great. Those kids laughing gives me goosebumps. I don't know what it is. It like I don't it kind of makes me feel like it's kind of used to be people in this bunker, and then they might not be here anymore, and it it definitely gave it kind of an eerie feel, which I enjoyed. Like the metal creaking. With that metal creaking, it kind of almost gives it a like this could potentially be like the hull of a ship, um, or kind of gives it a post-apocalyptic feel. I mean, just in this scene alone, it is kind of hard to give context as to where is this location. Um, I love post-apocalyptic movies, and so like that ambience I really enjoy. And I mean, it works for so many different scenarios, so it kind of leaves it to the imagination. The klaxon here I would have brought up just a hair, but at the same time, it's kind of a 50-50. Like with the music and your ambience, there is I don't want to say disconnect. Um like it feels, what is the word that I want to use here? Um it almost kind of feels like the viewer is in a memory, and we're floating through these scenes. um so the lower klaxon works if we were trying to imagine this from a point where we, the viewer, were actually there. I would have brought the klaxon up. So it's absolutely a creative decision. There is no right or wrong in that. Um, and I think with the music and the kids laughing, the floating through a memory kind of scenario. Which one is it? I don't know. Makes more sense, and it feels right. Um, so definitely great there. Big, heavy, metal, creaking, squeaking, perfect. I like that even though we're still inside the bunker here a little bit, you know, you do hear that wind coming through from this next scene. Great transition. Love the crow call. Again, dynamic range, where even though that music is steady through there, dynamically you're still rolling with the scenes. Door sounded a little heavier than it looks. Just a note. Great traffic panning. Here's some kids playing. Great city ambience. This scene in general is tough. Because you almost have to try and create movement within movement, because there's things moving all around you, but you're also moving through that scene. And using just a stereo mix, it makes it really hard. Because as things pan, we're also panning through them. And so to really get that full effect, you almost need at least a 5.1 mix, which personally I've done in the past. My current version of Pro Tools doesn't support it. And for all of you Logic users, yes, I know Logic does it natively, but I also don't have a surround sound setup. So it's tough, and I think you pulled it off. I like the bell on the door. I would have liked just a little bit more of the door clicking open itself. And then just real subtle ambience behind that music. I mean, we're in space. Great taper off of the music to a final. It's phenomenal. You know what? This bar is picking me off. You guys just get my bar. So overall, just absolutely phenomenal work. The music really tied it all together and gave huge emotion to it. So very well done. Init Sound Design, what's up, man? Victor, thank you so much. We will be getting to your guys' entries here in just a little bit. Miles, thank you for showing up. Sorry that my video was low quality. The video was supposed to be in HD. My disk space is almost low. No worries, dude. We all know what the video looks like, so we're here for the audio. So no worries there. Since we're going in alphabetical order, next up we have my dude, Audio Dread. All right. So let's jump back through this. I love the ambience here because you don't know where you are, and so I left this kind of up to interpretation on purpose because I wanted to see what you guys would do with it. I do like that this door was a little louder because there's nothing. Wow. I clicked all the wrong buttons. All of them. Every single one. I clicked all the wrong buttons. Starting over. The ambience is great. I left this part. I don't know what you guys heard and when it stopped making audio, so I'm just gonna repeat myself, and I'm sorry if you guys heard this already. I left this area kind of open to interpretation because I wanted to see what you guys would do with it. And this ambience really kind of gave the viewer like, where are we? I do like that the door was a little louder because there is nothing. You're literally in a black space with just the door. This ambience, you took kind of a literal approach because, again, like I said in the last video, there's nothing flying by the windows. There's nobody in this car. So it is nice to see varying takes on these scenes, because this, with nobody in it and nothing moving through it, it kind of throws me back to, if you guys have ever played Resident Evil, I think it was 2, where there was like an abandoned kind of subway train car that you had to go through, and it definitely kind of gives me some of those Resident Evil vibes. Subway door starts a little late. I would have brought that a little sooner in the timeline. Quality wise, it's good. Timing wise, sounds a little off. I love that the reverberance in this room. You know, everything looks like it's made of metal. Definitely hear that generator starting. I would have panned it a little harder, just from a perspective angle. Door I would have brought up some. Love the dynamic change in this transition. The flyby for the rope, I would have stretched that out a little. It seems very sudden. The ambience is great. And I can tell that there's multiple layers here. There's the ambience, and then there's also like a subliminal ambience, for lack of a better term. The door, I would have liked to have heard more of the actual door, but it also, this one's tough, because that scene in and of itself, I would have liked to have heard more of the door, but there also seems to be a very thematic kind of approach to the whole thing, and making it, there's one theme that kind of encompasses everything. So I do enjoy that. Nice dynamic change, got some wind in there. And this is something that I didn't even do in mine, having a little more outside noise. Nice Alfred Hitchcock kind of door opening. And what I was talking about in the snow area is something that you did here. So there's, you know, we've got the birds chirping even though we don't see them. We don't see any people, so you don't hear them. So it's kind of a, everything's real desolate. This might be, you know, in a post-apocalyptic area, and things haven't quite started to crumble yet. So there's not a lot of movement, but it definitely fits, like I said, in that overall thematic sense that you have for this whole project. I love the callback to the klaxon from the bunker. Love the extended reverb after the camera shuts off. So overall, great job. There were a couple timing issues that I personally would have adjusted, but yeah, overall, great work. All right, next. This was a late submission, but like I said, I do want to, not Audio Dreads, this next one. But I do want to try and get through all of these just because you guys did such an amazing job. So this next one comes to us from Frederick Max. So turn off video, turn off microphone, play. All right. I made sure to hit all the right buttons this time. So this one was overall it was kind of quiet. So I am gonna kind of boost that up here in VLC. Audio Dread hit on right one of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about. And yes, if you did not get a chance to see Audio Dread's behind the scenes of his breakdown, definitely go check that out. So I bumped up the volume here in VLC Player, which is why I was using VLC Player for this one, because I can adjust audio past 100%, kind of boost it a little bit. Very subtle ambience. Again, this whole thing was open to interpretation, so I like seeing everybody's kind of take on that. Door I would have brought up just a hair. Love the kind of live action to the train. Like, we hear the movement, we hear the conductor. Door was real subtle, but a nice transition into this area. Great panning on the generator that's over here on this side. Personally, I would have used a little bit more, because if we look at it, like, there's pulsating energy in it. I would have added a little more element of that. Great door sound. I love the ambience in this one. There's a whole lot of reverberant metal clanking in the background that just kind of gives a sense of a very industrial feel to this. There's a lot of movement happening in the sound, which I appreciate in this. This tunnel is so long. It's out of all of the scenes, it's the longest one and can easily become very boring. Aftertouch, what's up? You were the first video that I reviewed, so if you are just now tuning in, sorry you missed your review, but these live streams are uploaded, so you'll be able to check that out. More metal clanking, which I love. I also love hearing everybody's different klaxons that they use. Nice, big, solid, heavy sound for the door, so it's perfect. Love the crows. So that's 2 videos now where crows were used in this scene, and I think it fits perfectly. Love the wind blowing. If you've ever been in the north where there's snow, you know that snow really kind of dampens sound. Snow is a great sound insulator, and so to have that dynamic range coming from a very reverberant bunker to kind of this very isolated place. And I chose this sequence on purpose. I did each of these sequences individual and then kind of had to figure out what order. And so I did it on purpose so that we transitioned from like the very first part where it's just the door into what could potentially be a noisy subway, and then into just the sci-fi room where there's not a lot going on, and then to this very reverberant bunker, isolated cabin, big city. So there was a lot of back and forth, and you guys totally nailed that. Very nice city ambience. I love the level of reverb that was put into the ambience, because we don't see, other than the 2 cars passing, there's nothing that's immediately in front of us that's moving. So I do love, it sounds like there was a lot of hard panning, and I really enjoyed that. The sirens off to the distance. Great door sound. Definitely sounded like a set of double doors opening. And just that subtle, as Chris mentioned, that subtle baby. Kids are creepy, babies are way creepier. And just kind of add an extra element of eerie sounds. Great whoosh sound into the planet. All right, so I do need to adjust this back. Yeah, it's fine. Overall, great work. There was a couple elements that I would have brought up just a hair in the final mix, but overall, great work. Init Sound Design, you are up next. And I hope, I know that INIT is all capitalized, so I do apologize if that is supposed to be individual letters. and I'm just mashing them all together into one word. So I do apologize for that. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But you are up. All right. So let's dive back through this one. Again, this one was, again, kind of quiet, so I'm gonna go ahead and boost up VLC player here. A nice subtle ambience. I do like this transition. Door was a little quiet, but I like the dynamic range of the ambience moving into the train car. Definitely an interesting choice with the horn here. The kind of frequency shift through this almost sounds more like an outside perspective as a train's coming into a station. Would have done a little bit of a perspective shift there. Another great dynamic change. Would have liked to have heard something a little more for that generator. Because my rule of thumb, just in general, is when I'm layering sounds for different spaces, if it is on the screen and it has any sort of movement, it gets a sound, regardless of where the level of that sound is in the mix. It gets a sound. I would have added a little bit more movement to the door. This area, there's not a whole lot going on. I know that there's a dynamic shift once the alarm comes on for this. I would add just a little bit more movement. Like I said, this scene in particular is very tough, um, because it can get very stale very quickly, and so in situations when you're working on projects where there's not a lot happening visually, and again, it does vary because of context outside the scene, um, but it can get very stale for the viewer. And I don't want to use the word boring because it's not boring at all. Um, I guess a little monotonous. But then we do kind of have that impact stinger, like something's going on right before that alarm hits. So I do really enjoy that. And then there's just a whole volume build up here. Like oh crap, something is about to happen. So I do thoroughly enjoy that, and it is a nice dynamic shift from when there's not a whole lot happening to now all of a sudden there is something happening. So it was good. Don't think that I didn't like it. It's just I would have added just a couple stingers in there before that impact. I would have had the klaxon kind of fade out into that, because it does kind of stop as soon as the door opens. I like the wind blowing. I like the music. It definitely has kind of that Resident Evil theme. Another reference to Resident Evil, which I do enjoy the first couple movies. They were terrible after a while, but I like that kind of detuned, almost piano music box kind of sound. It was an interesting choice to put it here. And then it just stops. Which, I personally, kind of pulled me out of that immersion level. But you guys take what I say with a grain of salt, because I'm just one person's opinion. Nice car drive by. Great ambience. Audio Dread does make a good point. I think it's supposed to be coming out of the house, which if that's the case, it makes sense. If it was coming out of the house, though, I would have done a low pass filter on it. Like on a grander scale, like let's say you're standing outside of a club or a concert hall, you're going to get a lot of those high frequencies muffled by the walls. I would have brought that door up just a hair. And from a dynamic standpoint, the city itself was kind of low, and then we go into space, where the levels come up and it's a little louder. I would have made those at least even. But then I do like the callback to the music. I love that the ambience kind of trails out from there. So overall, good job. There's a couple interesting design choices in there, and I don't know, where you're at as far as sound design goes, but it was definitely a great piece. So moving on, we have our boy Miles Moss. And video off, microphone. All right. Sorry, let me get my settings here. I also forgot to turn this back down, so I do apologize if that was super loud right at the beginning. Let's jump back to the beginning here and kind of dissect Miles's very different approach, which I appreciate. Audio Dread says, ironically, the video quality makes it match your more cartoon style a lot better, in my opinion. Well done. Yeah, definitely. It was very, what's the right word that I'm looking for? I want to say abstract. I don't know if that's the exact word. Definitely a different approach, which, that's what this is all about, is, your own individual style. So let's break this down here. I love the build up though. Right up to that door opening. Again, we've got another, even though you don't see movement, we can hear the train movement, which is cool. Train horn is a nice touch. Would have added a little bit of reverb to it. A nice mechanical sound to that door. At first, I thought that sound was somebody. It almost sounds like you were pouring water into a glass, and then it almost ended with, I'm not sure what that sound was. Not gonna lie, it makes me feel a little uneasy because it kind of sounds like somebody's choking on that water. Actually, now that I listen to it again, it almost sounds like they're maybe pouring it down a drain, which doesn't make me feel more uneasy. Nice kind of mechanical whir to the door. The clock or ratchet sound is nice, kind of adds to, like, maybe there's actually something going on in the bunker. It sounds like there's a little bit of reverb on the actual ratchet sound, and then more on the clicking that comes from it. If those are two separate layers, I would have added a little bit more reverb to the ratcheting sound. A nice ringing to that klaxon. Very kind of cartoon-esque whir to that door. I like the bells here. I would have brought them down a little bit. It kind of gives it a North Pole vibe. Sorry, I get distracted every time there's chat. Clock was nice, but maybe a crescendo in volume. Yeah, I can agree with that. It did sound very linear through the whole thing. It did kind of sound like a clock, but it also sounded like almost like a ratchet lever. I don't know exactly what it was, but it definitely fit that mechanical metal bunker feel. The wind sound is a bit distorted. I mean, it kind of sounds like, maybe you were blowing directly into the capsule of the mic. Wind is hard if you're recording it by yourself. Wind is almost easier to fabricate than it is to record actual wind, because as wind comes through, like, by the capsule of the microphone, it's going to grab and pull in. And a lot of that, now we're kind of getting into the mechanics of the microphone itself. That whipping around the shell of the microphone kind of forces air into that capsule, and that's why you get a lot of that digital distortion, because it's almost like a constant pressure on the capsule of a microphone. So it is hard to get a good wind recording, for sure. And I agree. I think it could have been brought down a little bit, and maybe add a little bit of reverb to try and curve off some of that digital clipping. Nice trippy take on the cars going by. After Such says, really cool way to record wind is to put your microphone around a ball of pantyhose, lets the air pass through, but it's much softer sounding. Yeah, if you don't have a windscreen, this is one that I have for my Zoom. Um, we call these the dead cats. It's a giant fur ball. If you don't have something like this, pantyhose are great for that. By the way, there is a ton of stuff just crowded around my desk that you guys can't see. I make sure that the field of view for the camera is clean. The bird sound, I would have added a little bit of reverb to it. Without that reverb, it almost sounds like the bird's kind of sitting on your shoulder and tweeting in your ear. So just adding a little bit of reverb is what helps add that depth. So personally, I would have added just a little bit of reverb to that bird. Other than that, the city ambience is pretty good. There were a couple pass by layers. Like it sounded like there was a bicycle that just kind of came by here. But we didn't see anything. Some car sounds that sound like they're passing in front. Use toilet paper as a windscreen for a long time if you're broke and desperate. Yes, absolutely true. So for the pass-bys of the vehicles, I would have edited those out. Maybe found a clip that didn't have those pass-bys in it, because the overall ambience of the city is great. Those car pass-bys, though, because we're crossing the road at that point, do sound a little off because we don't see any vehicles. For general city ambience, it works out perfect. But just because where we happen to be in the scene at that moment does sound a little off. But like I said earlier, it's a little tough to try and create an atmosphere as you're moving through it. Nice door sound. Definitely sounded like a heavier shop type door. This oscillating effect that I hear, if I'm not mistaken, and I would have to go back and watch. Hey, what's up, Fred? Thanks for joining in, man. But that oscillating sound, did you use that in the silent film one as well? That sounds very familiar, and it does kind of fit that abstract space environment. We do have a little bit of, I don't know if it's wind or mic handling here. And again, with that clipping, if you're recording stuff with your mouth, I know that I'm not one to talk because I'm practically eating this microphone. But a good rule of thumb, if you're trying to do any sort of Foley with your mouth, a good rule of thumb when doing that, or any voiceovers for that matter, make a fist, and you want to be roughly that distance away from your mic. Like I said, I know I'm one to talk because I'm practically eating this microphone. But that being said, don't use an SM7B for like Foley sounds. It's not a hot microphone at all. So that's why I kind of have to practically eat this thing. But when you are right up on that microphone, that's when you kind of get a lot of those, a lot of sibilance, which I don't have a de-esser on my thing. But sibilance is like your S's and things like that, especially like SH and S. It adds that almost like a whistle sound as you're recording. And then you also have to pay attention to a lot of your harsh letters, like your D's and your T's, P's that can pop into the microphone. So that's why I kind of do an off axis, because the pops of those can pop into the capsule and also create that. Yeah, definitely use a shotgun for Foley. Highly recommended. And and then after that, we get Miles's logo, which I noticed you just started adding to your videos. Nice touch. So, jumping over to open canvas sound. Mitch, my dude. Do this one.
Sometimes dreams turn into nightmares. Sometimes nightmares turn into realities.
All right. I mean, obviously, the first thing that I noticed was the VO.
Sometimes dreams turn into nightmares.
It's a great stepping off point for creating a theme around this. Great transition into the train. It does kind of have more of an exterior perspective. Just adding maybe a low pass filter to that to roll off some of the high end would kind of help put you into the train. It sounds like you may have used a low pass filter. I would have just angled it off a little bit more. I would have pulled that transition back. It seems like it goes a little far into this room. But other than that, it was a good transition. I like that there was an element to the generator. I would have started it a little sooner and then had it fade in. I want to listen to that one more time. Definitely an elevator door. Um, I would have gotten rid of the dings. Um, the door sound itself is great. Um, the elevator dings kind of have a little disconnect there. But there is a buildup in this bunker that starts right from the beginning, which it's great because, like I said, in multiple times before, this is a very long scene, and so having that build up out into it is really nice. Kind of helps build that anticipation. It almost sounds we're trying to play guess the layer at this point. It almost sounds like you're on a plane. Yeah, as Aftertouch just said. Sounds like because it sounds like there's people talking. The engine sound itself, I think, works really well for this. The people talking, I would have tried to EQ that out a little bit. I love the dramatic stinger right before the klaxon happens. The helicopter was a nice touch. I would have added a little more reverb to put it more off in the distance. It almost sounds like it's flying right overhead. And since there's no actual helicopter in the scene, it makes it sound like it's very close. Now, I mean, it definitely could be flying right over the bunker door. But I would have just added a little bit more distance to that. And it's another tough thing that I guess we kind of addressed in the 5.1. Until you're getting into even so far as like the Dolby Atmos. If you've never been to a Dolby Atmos theater, please treat yourself. And if you're not familiar with Dolby Atmos, and alongside having a complete surround sound, there's also speakers in the ceiling to add another element of, so that we're not just on like an XY kind of flat plane. It adds another dimension to sound. So so flybys do get a little tough. It's very difficult in a stereo set. It is possible, but it is very difficult to get panning reverb just right, so that in a stereo left and right, it does sound like it's going over you instead of in front of you. I do like that the klaxon continued into this scene. I would have pulled it back just a little bit, or kind of had it fade out just a little quicker. Nice low frequency ambience here.
Sometimes nightmares turn into realities.
Again, I love the VO. That particular line, I would have put at this next door though. Just creative choice, and my personal opinion. I love the VO. Like I said, I would have put it at the next door as you go into space. I love what you did here. And it's something that I tried to do in my video. As the camera passes over these bushes, and for the 1,000th time during this review, it is difficult to create a movement through an environment. And I think you really kind of nailed it. There's the birds that just went off, and I know as we pass over this next bush, that there's some leaves rustling, which I think is perfect. Nice subtle ambience leading up to the door. And a dog bark. I know that I have used this scene in multiple videos. It was in obviously this one, it was in the Back to the Future DeLorean drive. It seems like somebody always kind of puts the random dog in here, which I feel is going to kind of become an inside joke on this channel, is the random dog bark in environments. Not that you adding it was a joke. It just overall kind of seems to be a theme as people design this scene. But I enjoy like what's the word I'm looking for? The liveliness. Probably still not the right word that I'm looking for. But it adds a sense of reality, which then again, I do understand, the sometimes, becomes reality line. And then, well, now I'm just rambling. I would have added a door sound there. Police siren was an interesting choice. Personally, I wouldn't have put it in there. But, again, just my opinion. I like the shift. I would have started that just a hair sooner. The sound itself was pretty good. Just timing is really all. I think I remember him saying this video was done in a few hours. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't hold how quick somebody gets these challenges done. I don't add any weight to it. Like if you get it done in 5 seconds or you take, 20 hours to get it done, because I don't know your workflow. Maybe you have, a huge sound effects library that you need to try and pull from, or you need to go out and source sounds before you even get started. So, I mean, that's cool that you were able to get it done in a couple hours. I've had projects both that I've done very quickly, and then like the Megalovania video that came out a few hours ago. I spent so much time on that. So it really comes down to workflow, and I can't really judge on speed. Obviously if you were working on a production, the quicker you get it done, the better. But for something like this, I give you guys 4 weeks, and if you use 2 hours, then you use 2 hours. If you use the full 4 weeks, then that's just kind of where that goes. So we've got 2 more that we want to get through, and I know I typically try to keep these live streams about an hour, and we're well past that, but I did make the promise that, even though there were a couple late entries, I'm going to get through all of them. So, for those of you who weren't here in the beginning to watch his Halo video as soon as the stream is over, yes, please, thank you. If you are part of my Discord channel, you know that I've been working on that pretty heavily. And if you're not part of my Discord channel, you should join, and there's a link below this live stream. Anyway, shameless plug over. Next, moving on to Victor, who posted it to Instagram as well. So thank you for the multi-platform. Also, Frederick, thank you for the Twitter share. Your popularity on Twitter made my Twitter go crazy. So I appreciate that. Yeah, while I do ask that you guys upload these videos to YouTube, that's the best way for me to download them. You are more than welcome to, plaster them all over the internet. So moving on to Victor. All right. So the first thing that I noticed with this one is, and I'm even watching my volume meter over here in OBS, there's absolutely no sound here. I thought at first that maybe something happened with my audio, but there is actually no sound here, which I can appreciate because it's a giant black room of nothing. Nice creak to the door. Would have brought it up just a hair. And I would have started the fade into the train just a tad bit sooner. Yeah, it does definitely make the door stand out more. So, like I said, the beginning, I left it open to interpretation on purpose because I wanted to see what you guys would create for nothing. Sorry, I had to swallow. Another great inside perspective to a train moving. Like I said, there seems to kind of be a general consensus as to how to approach some of these scenes. And The Sound of Silence, great song. So there seems to be a general consensus as to how each of these scenes should sound, and but it's great to see everybody's individual take on this. Door sound, I love the sliding, the door hitting whatever stopping mechanism it is inside the wall. I would have made just a little bit louder. This ambience, I would have rolled off a little bit of the high end. Really nice subtle sound for the generator. Great panning. Panning perspective, I think, was spot on. Great door sound. Again, another really nice mechanical metal reverb to this longer hallway. Great ambience. Love the little stingers in there. Reverb placement is perfect. I love that you added the steam sound. I didn't hear that out of any of the other videos. If you added it, I'm sorry and I missed it. But in this one, it was definitely noticeable. And again, listening on my speakers, perfect panning placement. Klaxon I would have brought up a little bit. Nice heavy metal door. Great low frequency ambience for the winter. Again, snow does dampen a lot of sound. So with another thing that I'm noticing here in this, when you're doing kind of winter snowy environments, you really have to pay attention to your frequency content. Because wind is going to be, you're going to scoop out a lot of mids in your wind. You're going to get that high whistle, but then you're also going to get that really low kind of droney sound. So mid-range frequencies do kind of stand out in a winter environment. And I think you got that. I hear the low, but I also hear that high whistle. So very well done. Very great. It sounds like wood. And I know that sounds like a silly thing to say out of context, but I think you definitely handled the material of the door with this. There's just so many things even this far into this particular design that I could talk about for absolutely hours. When it comes to things like making sure you pay attention to things like the material of the door, the material of the walls, because each type of material is going to have its own frequency content. And I really think you nailed a lot of that here. Nice distanced pass by of the vehicles. And I can, again, you're panning. I know it's kind of weird to point out of all of the different elements, your panning is just phenomenal throughout this whole thing. Really nice city environment. It's empty, but also full of life. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I tried to add steam, but my ambience was so loud that it was pointless to mix it in. I understand. Like I said, if it moves on the screen, I give it a sound. That being said, you guys could totally go back to my version of this and call me a hypocrite then, because I didn't, as the camera passes over the bushes, I didn't add sound to that, but I try. Nice birds chirping off in the distance. They sound very far away, which is good. The pass, again, the panning. If I ever need panning advice, you are the person I'm coming to. So we're out in the open area and we're about to kind of move under this awning, for lack of a better term, and the frequency shifts as we do it. That city ambience kind of gets left behind because now we're in that corridor. It's I'm I'm fanboying over your panning. That's door sound it sounds almost like a sci-fi door. Which I saw, throughout comments like on Discord and stuff, that a lot of people thought this was a sliding door, and that's just because I'm terrible at green screening. It does kind of look like because it opens from the middle, like it's a sliding door. The wood paneling on the door is really the only thing that kind of gives it away that it's opening in. So it's definitely easy to miss. And then we kind of get that ethereal chorusy hum, which I like. That if you've ever sound designed anything sci-fi, ethereal stuff in space is kind of the way to go. And a great whoosh. So overall, phenomenal job. I know I Panboy. Oh, you're so punny. I really appreciate it. Tried to pay more attention at panning this time. You did a phenomenal job, Victor the Pan guy. Oh, you guys. Yeah, the panning was phenomenal. I can absolutely tell that you paid more attention to it, and very, very well done. All right, we have got one more before I am out of here. Billie Eilish punt. Don't get me started on Billie Eilish. Oh God. If we ever get into any type of musical segment, we'll tear down. I mean, talk about her first album. Anyway, last one, VidWorks. We're gonna get through this, and then I am gonna go eat dinner, and let's check it out. All right, there is a lot of stuff to talk about in this one. Um, there's so many. While there are a lot of layers of actual sounds in here, there's a ton of subliminal sounds here. So great attention to that. Let's dive through here. Very nice fade in. The door was great. Honestly, what my ear focused on was the fact that ambience from the nothing transitions, and so it really kind of it makes a thematic overall presentation, which I absolutely appreciate. Also, your reverb throughout this whole thing is very thematic. So even though there wasn't a whole lot happening in that train, it still felt very cohesive. We get a couple extra layers to the drone. I don't want to call it a musical piece. While it has some musical elements to it, it's a drone. That's the correct word for that. So I do like that there were some added elements to that drone as it comes in to this area. No worries, Audio Dread. Thanks for hanging out. You have fun writing parking tickets. Let's back up here a little bit. The frequency content of this generator fits so perfectly with this drone. I would have liked to hear maybe a couple more layers, but the frequency content of the ones that are there are great. Fred, thanks so much for hanging out, man. I know this live stream has run much longer than I anticipated, so I do appreciate you guys hanging out. The electronic chime there right before the door opens, very nice touch. Nice heavy door, and again another layer to that drone. There was kind of a low oscillating, and we get some chimes, so I like that it's building up as we move through these areas. Klaxon is great, and somebody said it, yeah, Audio Dread, the stinger right before the alarm sounds, really well done. Again, it's on that subconscious level, and really sound design in general is about connecting with the viewer on both a conscious and subconscious level, and I really think that you nailed that with this. Nice heavy blast door, and again it falls in line with that thematic reverb. So the door isn't overly the right word to use here is hyper realistic, which I do want to do a video later on about the difference between realistic and hyper realistic sounds. It fell right in line with that reverb. So even though it doesn't sound like it's right in front of us, because we've taken this journey this far, everything sounds super cohesive. And then the drone stops. And I think it's a perfect spot for that drone to stop, because now we've gone through all of these indoor places that sound very enclosed. And so we have that drone. And as soon as we get out into this open environment, that drone goes away. It feels very open and free, is how I want to describe that. Um, Amazing choice. And then we've got that subtle wind, which is perfect. Nice creak to the door. Vehicle pass by, I would have brought up a little bit in volume, because we don't hear them really until they're kind of right here in front of us, even though we do see them on the screen. So I would have brought that up just a little bit to kind of give more of a feel to that pass by. Ambience is great. Would have brought it up just a hair in volume mix wise. Dude, you're tapping into emotion, and which I can't appreciate enough. Yeah, we're not even to the door yet, but now we're getting those subtle hints of something is about to happen. Great. Again, just like we saw in the first part of it, we get those extra layers as we move through. It helps that build up. Door opening, I would have brought up just a little bit. But as we move into the space, it almost kind of has, for lack of a better term, like a Daft Punk sound to it, which, you know, I love my heavy metal, but I can get down with some Daft Punk. So really nice transition into the space area. We get that ethereal chime, and then we get that, I don't hear so much of the low frequencies, but it does sound like it's the high frequencies from the drone that we heard before. So it's a great callback. Even if it's not the same piece, it sounds similar, and just really kind of drives us into the end. The impact whoosh, very well done. Very well done. So, guys, thank you so much. Like I said, I know this was much longer of a live stream than I typically do, and because we got more entries, these were longer entries, and I made a promise that I would get through all of them, even though there were a couple that were a little past the deadline. You know, that's totally fine. As far as challenge number 9 goes, I haven't started working on it yet. I got so involved in the Megalovania video that I haven't started working on it. That being said, it probably is going to be a couple weeks yet before I announce challenge number 9. In the meantime, I know Cactus Sound has put out a challenge for a TIE Fighter flyby. So if you are looking for more challenges, just to kind of keep your talents flowing, I do recommend going and checking out his video. If you're part of my Discord, I did share that video in the channel. Again, if you're not part of the Discord, there is a link in the description below. But that being said, guys, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate you guys so much for not only sticking around, but all of the amazing entries. And with that being said, I wish you guys the best. Stay in touch and happy creating. Until next time.